What's up? What's up? Can you hear us? Can you hear me, Christian?
Yeah.
Hey guys, what's up? It's the first Uneeda Horror Podcast live debrief on my channel. Weird. I know, right? You guys are like, we got to go over to this dude's fucking rinky-dink channel to do this. Yeah, here we are. How's it going, Christian? How the hell are you doing, man?
Good. Long day, but nothing bad happened, so I can't complain. Finished eating dinner, settled down for a little bit, watched a little Kitchen Nightmares before I hopped in here. So I'm good. How are you?
Doing well, man. Got to give a shout out, Creasefold. Thank you for the $2 super chat, brother. You are always, I can always count on you to be in these streams. How you doing, man? Dude, I know you saw, I posted on Instagram, our good friend Dave Vanderhoff. Oh my God damn. Sorry.
Anyway.
I hit the cord, as you can tell. Yeah, dude, he custom made me this tombstone. It's got my channel name on there. It's got the quote from Halloween 2 when they're addressing the Lost River Drive. And I thought that shit was really, really cool. Dave took the time out of his day, used his resources and his abilities to do that for me. Pretty sick, you know.
Super talented guy.
Yes, he is. And he's really passionate about it too. So want to say hello to everybody that's in here right now. What's up to Jesus? How's it going, brother? Mark, Dylan, Akeem, Rock Music Forever, Witch Hunter, J-Dev, Eric, Matt, JG Michael, Scratch, man, Jerry, Quentin. Got a lot of people in here. How's everybody doing? And I'm sure you guys will be piling in as this gets going. So, Christian, why don't you kind of tell the people what this was? This was your brainchild. What do you want this to be?
I kind of want this to be like that ESPN show that like kind of recaps all the games and stuff and goes over highlights and stuff. And I thought it would be fun for, let's say we do this once every month or twice every month. The previous episodes that happened, I go through some of the comments that we got on the podcasts, maybe stuff that would open up some sort of a dialogue, some sort of a discussion. We could talk about it. So incentive to comment on the podcast episodes now. We could start a dialogue about some of it, because some of those things that people say is something that is not like a yes or a no thing. Sometimes it's something that can open up a conversation, and to make more or less the viewers of the show, the fans of the show, feel a little bit more like they're part of the show. So I'll read their comments. We can discuss stuff like that. Of course, the people that are with us in the show, I mean, we'll talk to you as well if you have comments and questions, and become part of the conversation. So that's why I call it the Uneeda Debrief, because we're going to be breaking down stuff that's happened in the comments of our last videos, maybe updates from stuff that we've talked about, if there's new developments on certain things like that. Not that I think there's any new developments per se that we have to bring up, but that sort of thing. It's going to be loose and chill and fun. It's not going to be super, super structured to where it's like, oh, we can't read the chat or nothing like that. But that's the idea, and I thought it would be fun. So that's the idea that I had for the show.
Hey, I mean, that works for me. But let's be honest, even when we do the legitimate podcast version of the podcast, we're never really super structured.
Yeah. Somebody said like this is the best Texas Chainsaw. I mean, I could read it, but like somebody said on the last one, like this is like actually not the last one, was it? It was the one
2 episodes ago.
2 episodes ago. Like, dude, this is like the best Texas Chainsaw Massacre commentary I've ever heard.
Yeah, like I saw a comment, like somebody said something about like you guys just like something about how we brought up the movie like 2 or 3 times, and that
Jessica
was it.
Biel, and it looked green.
Yep. I'm like, hey, you know what? That's kind of what we do. And then you get people that say too, it always blows my mind. And I wanted to hear what you guys have to say in the chat, because I'll see comments on it after the fact too that are like, when are you guys going to do another casual commentary? And I'm like, I feel like you guys, like some people, like they never get the views that other episodes we do. So I don't know. There's this like niche group of people that like just really, really dig it. Like,
well, I figured out how to pull the wool over them. You noticed I didn't name that episode Texas Chainsaw Massacre live commentary, did I?
No, you didn't.
And it's tracking.
There you go. We'll lie to you. And he'll make like a really grabby thumbnail. Y'all will click on it. Next thing you know, you're like, but a couple minutes in, you're like, oh, it's a commentary. Damn it. We already got your view. We already got it.
Your fish is on the hook.
Yes. What's up, Dave? It's Dave Vanderhoff. Yeah, brother. Here I am. Okay. Sorry. I'm up on my draft real quick. Fantasy football draft's going on right now, guys. I'm a Steelers fan, so I'm dying here because Chris Olave or Najee Harris. I'm going Najee Harris. All right. So without further ado, Christian, I'm going to ask you if you have any comments pulled up already that you want to go ahead and get started with.
Yeah, I was looking at the episode 100, and it was a controversial episode.
Mm-hmm.
We talked about a lot of stuff on episode 100. We talked about Ocean Gate, which is all seemingly, it's past now. Nobody's talking about that anymore. And a lot of people, it was interesting. A lot of people commented. I was looking on that. A lot of people commented on Piz in this one, and I don't want to necessarily, call out the people, but like Piz got a lot of. I just thought it was interesting. Piz is a pretty. Piz always comes across pretty. I don't want to say middle of the line, but like he usually is very stoic on his stances on stuff, especially on his channel. But I guess because he was on mine, he didn't give a damn. But people were just surprised, more or less, that Piz really went hard on Disney.
Yes,
in that episode, and he got some hate. But it was. I just thought that was interesting. But I thought it was a side of Piz that we saw in that episode that I've never seen before. And maybe it's because he was drugged up, so he didn't care. But if you guys haven't seen that, I mean, it was a great episode 100, and Piz went hard on Disney. He's not a fan of a lot of the stuff they're doing now, and I just thought that was interesting. But a lot of the comments on that episode were just people happy for us and everything.
Yeah,
but
Keem, I want to say really quick, Akeem, I have the next gen Xbox, so you could still play with me. Christian, we're waiting on Christian. He said he's going to get that PS5. He's going to bite the bullet.
Yeah, that's the plan.
But speaking of that episode, so did you have specific comments, or did you just want to talk broadly about the reception?
Just in that instance, broadly, because Piz got, I don't want to be like so-and-so said Piz is a man baby, but it was just, some people were like, I totally agree with Piz, and other people were basically like, he's got it all wrong. Disney's not trying to make men look us any kind of way. Kind of a touchy subject, I know, but that's the big takeaway I had from that episode was Piz on that. So I just don't know if you had any comments looking back on that episode with him.
Dude, it's such a hot button issue to talk about Disney, and it kind of annoys me. And like, I know you and I have talked about this too, how neither one of us really give a shit enough to like invest that much energy in it. But I know there's a lot of people that do. Yeah, looking back on that episode, I definitely was worried. I had talked to Christian after the fact. I was like, I wonder how people are going to like receive that, because it seems like that's become a culture war issue, that like you're either like pro Disney or anti Disney, and you will not meet in the middle with anyone on that, which is really stupid, like super dumb. No matter what side you're on of it, like it's just dumb to make a blanket statement about a company because of a few movies or a few decisions they've made. I just think, good or bad, I don't think you do that. I think what Piz was saying was recently. I don't think he was saying Disney as a whole forever.
Right.
But right now, people are just like, it's either boycott Disney or I love Disney, and there's really not an in between. So I guess for me, it's just like, you're not going to catch me going to the theater to see a lot of Disney movies just because I'm not their demographic. Like, in all honesty. Like I'm really not. Like, had no interest in Indiana Jones, had no interest in The Little Mermaid. Like a lot of these movies, I don't care. There's people out there that like it. There's people out there that are totally vehemently against it for their own political reasons and whatnot. But for me, I'm just like, that's cool. Like, what if you guys go see it? Awesome. If you don't, awesome. But I do think the narrative has gotten blown out of proportion a little bit with Disney. Like people thinking that they're just like, oh, they're hurting, man. They're bleeding money. It's Disney. Disney. It's Disney.
They probably own the banks.
Yes. I mean, they're not hurting. They're not making as much as they want to. That's a fact. They're hoping every movie they make is $1 billion movie, which is why they're putting $300 million into them. We already talked about how that's just stupid, but it's Disney. They're between the theme parks, the branding and name recognition alone, that they're never really going to struggle financially. It's just not going to happen. So, but yeah, I guess broadly with that, I agreed with some of what he said. I disagreed with some of it. And I just think, like you said at the top, I mean, I think you and I are kind of pretty much in the middle with that. Like, you know what I mean? They make dumb decisions. They make good decisions, like most companies. I mean, shit, I don't know. That's my thoughts on it. You have anything else to add?
No, I totally agree with you. It's not something that I have a dog in the fight. I mean, I don't even know. The Disney movies I watch really aren't Disney movies. It's like the horror films.
Yes.
They own the parent company of. They're the parent like Prey.
20th century, yeah.
20th century.
Mm-hmm.
I can't tell you the last time I watched a Disney movie. Probably it was Hocus Pocus 2, which I actually didn't hate. Because I grew up with the original, and I was like, Sydney, is this going to be any good? She's like, I don't know. I thought it was okay.
It was okay. It was okay for what it was. I mean, it was a sequel. We look back on Hocus Pocus, guys, and I think we just vastly overrate that movie. It is definitely like a quintessential Halloween movie. It's a yearly watch, damn near every year. Like, those are non-debatable. But like, it hasn't aged super well. It's still very corny. It's still cheap in a lot of ways. But I mean, it's kind of like Halloween Town. I love those movies from being a kid, but I go back and watch those movies. I'm like, these are not very good.
What's up with that too? Why do movies, like, you swear to God, movies when you were kids, like, they were different because they were so good when you were little?
I mean,
I'm convinced they're changing this shit. Dude,
to be honest with you, I mean, I personally think that when we're younger, I think that we see things through a different lens. Like, I just really do. Like, I think that when you're younger, you're not really you're not really cognizant of just quality, I think, so much. And you just remember what a movie meant to you, how it felt to you. I remember, I mean, you got to remember too, we're only 2 years apart. Around October, when the Halloween Town movies were coming on the Disney Channel, you were like, oh, fuck, dude, it's time. Like, it's time. Like, here we go. And I think it's more that than anything. Christian and I were talking about this the other day in one of our group chats about these reels that have that music, and they show things from the 90s or the early 2000s. And us being in the same age range, we can relate to like all of that stuff. And I couldn't put into words what it was. And Christian said something along the lines of, it makes me happy and sad at the same time. And it is exactly that. And when I see reels like that, that's what I think of. Hocus Pocus, Halloween Town, stuff like that. It's like, and I feel like, I don't know about you, but when you rewatch those movies, if you ever do go back and watch those movies, I don't watch Halloween Town every year anymore. I try to. I don't even get to all the Halloween movies anymore every year. But it's almost like you kind of, a little part of you gets kind of transported back to that. You know what I mean? Like just a little bit.
That's the happiness. And then when the reel's over, it's like, oh fuck. Yep. But the thing is, it's just like I keep reminding myself, I was like, it's fine because in 10 years, I'm going to watch reels about 2023 and it's going to have that same nostalgic music. And I'm going to be like, oh, fuck.
Mm-hmm. With like people wearing masks and like all this shit. Like, you guys remember the 2020s? Oh, bad. Like, I'd rather not. But yeah, dude, it's crazy. It's crazy. It's sad. And Nikki, I agree. It is a cute, enjoyable movie. And I don't care. I don't care for the fourth one. The return to Halloween Town, where they got what's her face, Sarah Paxton, to like replace the role of Marnie. I was like, this is kind of weird. I don't know. The first two are money. I love the first two movies. Like, I don't care what anybody says. I love the dude that's like trying to match the socks in the Seven movie. The second movie, just the way he talks. I don't know. It was just, but yeah. So, all right. Do you have anything other comments pulled up? Or because, like I said, I do have my so you guys can see my fantasy football draft is going on right now. So I'm trying to keep the draft room open. But if you want to pull some stuff up, while you're looking some stuff up, let me address something from last episode. We got a couple comments. Where's Ash? Our buddy Richard. Really,
I'll read them.
Okay. So Christian's going to pull up some of these comments from the last episode because this definitely got you guys talking, and for good reason.
I'll skip to that. You need the horror icons video, which oh man. Let me work my way into the aggressive ones.
Okay.
This is from Chuck. This was actually 9 hours ago. I haven't read all this all the way through, so I'm reading this for the first time as well. I'm a Friday and Jason fan through and through. However, I will admit that Freddy is the 80s horror icon. No one was as integrated in pop culture the way Freddy was. He was everywhere. Books, toys, games, 800 numbers, rap albums. Heck, he was even a guest VJ on MTV for crying out loud. A lot of this is thanks to Robert being the sole portrayal of the character, much like Doug Bradley is Pinhead, which is a no-brainer icon. That's what he said, not me. England gave Freddy a distinct personality and graffitis that is missing in Michael and Jason because they are mostly interchangeable stuntmen with different styles and personalities. While they are good, the inconsistency of the performance keeps them from achieving that Freddy Krueger status. My personal opinion, of course. So it's interesting. There were a number of people that did feel in the comment section of that video that Freddy was, in fact, the greatest horror. Because I said I think he is the greatest horror character ever. And there were a number of people that agreed with me on that. That do think he is the greatest, and that was one of them.
I agreed with you, and I'm a Halloween guy.
Right. Sam Haynes Knight said, how can you not have the Universal monsters? Then he says JK, and I think I told you beforehand, it's like, come on. It's like, if you last 100 years, close to it anyway, a lot of those movies came out in the 30s. Come on. You're an icon. Like, it was a no-brainer. So that's why I didn't put those guys on the list.
On the flip side of that, can I ask you personally, I've been thinking about this, and I talked to somebody about this. I was DMing with someone the other day about this. I personally think Universal isn't doing their classic monsters any favors. They're almost forgotten about. Like, they put out 2 Dracula movies this year and didn't market either one worth a shit.
I don't know. I don't know. I don't know if people care anymore about him.
Well, 3 years ago, The Invisible Man, a revamped, loose retelling of a classic character, a universal monster, made over $100 million, got great reviews from I don't know anyone that was like, that movie sucked.
No, it was, I don't know. That's a good point.
I think they have to modernize them. That's the problem, and market them. And I don't. They're either doing one, but not the other, or they're doing neither. Like Renfield was a modernization of that story, but they kind of just dumped it and walked away from it. And it's like, bro, you put like 80 million into this movie.
Yeah, it wasn't cheap, and it's on screen. It's a bombastic movie. So you see the budget on the screen. I don't know. Same thing with Demeter, but I told myself, Christian, don't get butthurt about Demeter. I mean, just know that it's not going to do well and accept it. And it's probably the same thing. I had a lot of people say, oh, I'm not interested in it. And I'm just like, damn it, man. Because it's a really good movie. But I don't know. I mean, The Invisible Man's a good point, but like that was, I'll give Blumhouse credit. Like they marketed that very well. The last thing you're thinking is Universal Monsters. It was, oh man, it was great.
But that's how you pull the wool over people's eyes. I mean, that really is. You don't want to show them a trailer. If you make a modern Frankenstein movie, you really don't want to lean into that old school too much, at least in the marketing, because you're going to get a lot of people that are just like, I don't want to see that. Like, even if the movie ends up being that way, which I think for some of us would be really cool, we dig it. But don't lean into that when you're trying to sell it to 16-year-olds. Like, it's just not going to work. And The Invisible Man, they did not. And it was a very modern adaptation anyway. And so the marketing wasn't hard with that one, because it's like, we've modernized the shit out of this to where it's almost unrecognizable aside from the name, The Invisible Man.
Yeah, it's sad to think about, but and then they tried to do it a few years ago. I say a few years ago, pre Invisible Man with they did The Mummy with Tom Cruise, and I don't know if it was successful or not, but I know that people were just kind of like, oh, I don't know what they were trying to do. I think the Fraser era was just sheer dumb luck, and then the movies ended up just being really great. And I don't know what they were trying to do, because I didn't like the Tom Cruise Mummy film that much. It's like it's really hit and miss and bizarro with the way they're panning out. I hate to say it, I just let Blumhouse do. Like, I think somebody in the comments was like, it's time for a creature from the Black Lagoon. Oh, dude, I agree. I mean, that could be what they kind of did that already, though. Guillermo did his movie. It was an incredible film, Shape of Water, which was kind of a very modernized version of that. Although it is a timepiece still. It takes place in like the 50s. But that's kind of what that was. And that movie won. I think he won an award for it. I don't know if he won the best director or whatever.
He did win an award for it, but I can't remember which one.
That movie was incredible. Oh my God. That's kind of our modern Creature from the Black Lagoon. So I don't know. It's a crapshoot with them right now.
Yeah, but I mean, honestly, to tell you the truth, like you said, I mean, you said it, and I'll just reiterate it. Maybe it is time to let Blumhouse take a stab at it. Honestly, I mean, it is Universal. Like they did for every complaint you want to lay at Blumhouse's feet. They did The Invisible Man right. I mean, they did.
Yeah, they had a good director. I mean,
I'd love to see a modern Frankenstein movie. I would. Frankenstein's monster was always my favorite of that era, because my favorite novel of all time is Mary Shelley's Frankenstein. It's a great novel. I read that for fun in high school. Like I used to read a lot, and I'd love to see like a modernized version of that story. And if it's Blumhouse, it's Blumhouse. I don't care. They'll put money into it.
Yeah, there was a movie that came out, and I'll read more comments after this. It came out in 2015. It was called Victor Frankenstein, and it had Daniel Radcliffe in it. And I love that movie, but again, I just don't think people are interested.
No, you remember
Timepiece.
You remember Van Helsing?
Yeah, I saw that in theaters. Like
so did I.
Yeah,
yeah,
those were fun.
Yeah, I just feel like I hate when people say that era has passed us. I don't think it's past us. I think that the people that make those kind of movies and own those rights don't care enough to dig back into it. I don't think they care.
It needs a fresh coat of paint for sure.
It needs a Jason Blum.
If you want to catch up with the chat out, we can do that.
Yeah.
I can even look at it if you need me to.
Yeah, so
Shape of Water won Best Picture. Okay.
Yes, got
it
a lot
deserved it too. It was so good.
Yes, Dangertainment. Scarlett Johansson was announced as a Bride of Frankenstein, I believe.
Did it get axed after The Mummy underperformed?
Well, yeah, it was actually recently, but nothing's happening right now, obviously. McHorror says the Return of the Living Dead remake is going to have Screamo kids and skinny jeans.
I'm fine with that. I live that. I'll deal with it. If they make Census Failed be the soundtrack, I'll be totally okay with that.
Nikki says that we need new horror icons. Well, kind of based off of that, what we were talking about in the last episode, I mean, you won't get that for years, even if these guys are making movies right now, because icon status, I mean, it takes time.
It takes a lot of time.
We said that Art the Clown very well could be one soon, but he's not there yet. The Creeper from Jeepers Creepers, he'd be an icon right now if the creator of that series wasn't a fucking freak. Like, it's just, there really is a lot coming out right now that's original. There really is. Yeah, we're getting requels and stuff. We're kind of out of the remake era, which is interesting. They've kind of just transitioned to requels. But we're getting original stuff too. People just got to go see it. I mean, it's like Talk to Me is doing really well. And that's good. Positive word of mouth, low budget. You might look at it when it's all said and done and go, oh, it made like $50-60 million. Like, that's not that much. Well, when your budget's $4.5 million. Yeah, it is. There's a lot coming out right now that I think that it's the best of both worlds right now. I really do. And I do think 20 years from now, some of these characters we're currently seeing will be iconic. And I definitely think Art is one of them. I think the only thing that stops some of these franchises is the creators or the studios themselves. I don't think it's the characters or the movies for that matter. Look at Hellraiser. I mean, we talked about that. Half of the Hellraiser movies are dog water, but Pinhead's an icon. I mean, they just got to show longevity. Like that's all it is, really.
Yeah, this is definitely the legal limbo era for sure. And yeah, I don't know. It just sucks. You would think, okay, now would be the time to have new horror icons, but I don't know if that's what this era is about per se, especially not villains. I don't know, maybe, but.
Yeah. But as far as Ash Williams, Christian and I think we'd both put him in icon, right? I don't think you couldn't.
Maybe my gut would say semi-icon, but the thing about Bruce I have so much respect for is he openly calls himself a B movie actor. He's had some success in mainstream films, sure, but he's always been not an add-on character. What am I trying to say? A supporting character. Like he had a small part in Congo, which was a big movie. He's been in a lot of horror stuff, but he's a genius at marketing himself. Yes. He always dresses really nice. He doesn't do every convention. So whenever he does show up at Texas Frightmare every 3-4 years or so, his lines are incredibly long. People are so excited to see him. He looks like $1 million. He markets himself brilliantly. So he has the appearance of an icon. And I'm not taking that away from him, but in the pantheon of things, I don't know. My gut would say semi-icon, but to horror fans, no doubt, we look at him as such. But in the grand scheme of things, I'd call him a semi-icon. That's how I feel.
Yeah, I hear you. I do, because especially until what? Freaking Lord. I mean, you're talking up until Evil Dead 2013, really. I think that a lot of people considered Evil Dead not underground, but definitely cult.
Cult, yeah.
Yeah, as a franchise. It wasn't until 2013 when they really modernized it for teenagers, really, that people were like, oh, shit, like this is actually pretty gnarly, which was the right decision to make in the grand scheme of things, dude. I don't know what defense to draft right now. Let's go with the New Orleans Saints. Sure. But I mean, there you go, Christian. New Orleans Saints.
I'm a Bears fan.
I know. But their defense is actually pretty good. They were the highest remaining defense left. So Yeah, I just, and then Evil Dead Rise like was huge, which is awesome. But again, I think that's because the Evil Dead franchise is. We've talked about it. I mean, many people have talked about it. It kind of did. It had like a makeover almost. It was like, all right, let's lean more into like modern horror vibes and aesthetics and whatnot, and more kind of just go for the gross out. Whereas if you go for the older movies, I mean, I can't tell you how many people I've shown those movies to, and they're like, yeah, that kind of sucks.
It wouldn't work today.
Yeah,
not on a grand scale for sure. I would love it, but
so maybe you're right. Maybe he is a semi-icon, all things considered. Because even if your argument is, well, look at Evil Dead, it's thriving now, but it's thriving without Bruce.
I know it's interesting how, dude, it really is bizarre how these movies in horror, how much more popular it's getting. I feel like horror is the new Metallica. You know how like you see the chicks that I hate to judge because a lot of them are always pretty broads, but like they get those shirts. There's a funny TikTok that always pops up. This girl's like, I don't know what this is, but I love this word, the metallic word. I see all these girls wearing this and I had to get it. I feel like horror is getting that way where people, it's just so fucking popular now. I mean, it's like nothing now to get cool shirts at Walmart of all these movies. There's Exorcist shirts. That like the fact that they have a Dream Warriors t-shirt. You can get a t-shirt of the poster at Walmart. This is incredible. Just fucking incredible. So everything is just getting more popular and popular and popular. And then you got Shudder. It's insane. So everything's just growing in popularity. And a lot of those franchises like Evil Dead, they're coming up and up and up and up.
Fat Pinhead. Fat Pinhead. He'd be
back of the line, buddy.
Yeah, he'd be back of the line for sure. Hey, Dangertainment.
Put him in the back.
Dangertainment with a good one. If they're modern day Metallica, which horror movies are Saint Anger?
Me and Nick will never agree on Saint Anger.
That's not true. We have parsed this out. We have talked about this. I understand why people don't like Saint Anger. I think it's like an IPA, and I hate IPAs. And right now, Dave Vanderhoff is punching the wall that I said that. I'm more of a light beer guy, but I think Saint Anger is definitely an acquired taste. And I think that you had to be an angry person when you first heard that album to respect it at all, because it's a really pissed off album.
It is angry.
And you watch Some Kind of Monster and you're like, dear God, these dudes fucking hated each other.
Here's my thing. I'm just saying we'll move on. For a band that blazed so many trails, for them to try to sound like bands of that time is just criminal. I can't. No guitar solos?
Dude, sonically. Okay, I'll give you that.
Sonically, it sounds like shit.
It does. It does. Although that riff in Some Kind of Monster is awesome.
I did Bob Rock a while ago.
Dude, come on. You know damn well that riff in Some Kind of Monster goes hard. But
some of the songs like Frantic Tick. I'm not saying it's a terrible album. I truly don't like it. I love Fuel and Refuel 1,000 times more.
Dude, I can't. There's a couple songs on Load I like. There's a couple songs on Reload I like, but I think as albums as a whole, I've never been big into either album. Never. I mean, I haven't.
I love those and Garage Inc. My uncle raised me on the cassette for Garage Inc.
I will always maintain their version of Turn the Page is better. And I know that some people are going to say that's blasphemy. I do not care.
Dude, they did a great Blue Oyster Cult cover of Astronomy. They're the only band I've ever seen cover that song.
One of my favorites, I think, is an old folk song that they made, Whiskey in the Jar. That song is awesome. Yeah, I mean, dude, we could talk Metallica all day, but it is funny. I mean, I guess to answer your question, which movies would be the Saint Anger? I mean, I don't know. You want to go like a studio?
It's got to be. Let's put it into context. Saint Anger is still an album that sold a lot of copies, but it's not. I wouldn't call it a mega mainstream thing because it certainly faded away a little bit. You really have to be a Metallica fan. Granted, there's millions of them to know about it. So to me. And then you have to figure out which side of the coin you're on. I'm not a fan of it. So for me, I would call Saint Anger like what was that movie that came out a few years ago with one of the Strangers kids, The Turning? Like to me, Saint Anger is like The Turning. Like that's my Saint Anger. Like, fuck that. I hated that movie. I predicted that movie within 5 minutes, which is bad if I predict it because I'm an idiot.
Mm-hmm.
So that's my Saint Anger.
Yeah. Evan says, I love the sound of a trash can being beaten to death. Let's see. Mick Horror says the Black Album was their last good album. I disagree. I still haven't listened to the most recent one, 72 Seasons front to back. But Hardwired, I actually really enjoyed. And I'm somebody that thinks that Death Magnetic is underrated. I really like Death Magnetic. I think that Death Magnetic has some great songs on it. The Day That Never Comes is awesome. Unforgiven 3 is awesome. I think it's an underrated album personally. But Hardwired, I think most people would agree is a pretty damn good album. Like that's a good album.
It's fantastic.
Yeah.
I'm not the biggest fan. And when I like Moth and the Flames, one of my favorite songs.
It's one of their best albums sonically. I really think that's one of the most complex albums, which is different from Metallica because we got a comment in the chat about how Megadeth is better. Sonically, Megadeth is way more intricate. That's Dave Mustaine's thing. But his voice, nah. I mean, just the way their music sounds like, and I'm somebody that I like Megadeth. Yeah. But James Hetfield's way better as a vocalist.
I'm sick and tired of people only talking about Metallica and Megadeth.
Here comes
start
Anthrax.
Talking about Anthrax. They're fucking incredible. I love Anthrax. Antisocial.
I like them, but I don't like Slayer. I don't like Slayer.
No, I got shit on that. We got shit in the comments. That was an older episode, but I just remember I was like, yeah, Slayer, it just sounds like a bunch of shit. That's all. It's just, and then, you know, I'm not a Slayer fan. Kerry King's an asshole. Nobody likes him. He wears sunglasses on stage. He's got shitty tattoos. Jeff Hammond, when he passed away, that band turned to complete shit. So
there you
fuck
go.
Slayer. Fuck Slayer.
All right, Christian, let's get back into the comments.
People, go listen to Anthrax, please. Go listen to Sound of White Noise from '93. It's one of the most incredible records ever. So
also, guys, if you haven't watched Some Kind of Monster, which is a great documentary, it really is. But another thing about Saint Anger, before we get off this, James Hetfield had just blown his voice out. So like when they recorded that album, like his voice, it was like that. I don't even know how to put it. Like it works in the sense because it's supposed to be this like raw, angry record, but like his voice just wasn't there. I'm glad he got it back because some artists can blow that shit out and never get it back, like ever. So,
most of them have to completely relearn how to sing a different way. It's crazy.
But that's the problem, man. A lot of these guys learn to sing just from their throat, and that's not how you do it. It's in your diaphragm.
Yep. Okay. We'll stick on the most recent episode, which was the horror icons list. This comes from Verisimilitude 8660.
Verisimilitude.
He says, he or she, I don't know if this is a guy or I think it's a guy. I respectfully disagree, Nick. To me, Jason is the most recognizable horror icon of all time. It's that hockey mask. Everyone knows what that is. I'd say it's almost matched by Freddy's glove. So it's interesting that he says, let me break down what he says, and then this is obviously addressed to you, but it's interesting that he says Jason is the most recognizable, but Freddy's glove is still unmatched in terms of like the most iconic thing. So it makes me confused. Do they mean that Freddy's still more iconic or not? Because they say that they think Jason is, which is still part of how I feel. I'm not sure.
Yeah, see, I mean, look, man, for me personally, I did see that comment. I saw all the comments. I go through and I always read them, and I've just done a better job of if somebody says something shitty to me, I just don't reply, or if I do reply, I don't get butthurt about it. But yeah, I saw that. I mean, I guess also it may be a matter of living through it, and unfortunately, neither one of us did. So we can't really say. I mean, when Jason was at his peak, we were not conscious enough to know what was happening. But having said that, man, I just look back. Dude, I mean, yeah, Mark, Saturn Video says Jason isn't iconic. The Mask is. And I agree. Whereas I think in the 80s, unequivocally, even as somebody that's a Halloween guy, Freddy ruled that era. And that's when most of the Friday movies came out. and Freddy ruled that era. So when Friday was dipping in box office receipts, movie after movie slowly going down, you had Freddy on MTV. You know, you had his movies making tens of millions of dollars.
Mm-hmm.
Even Freddy's Dead, they're like, okay, well, we're seeing diminishing returns, and then it makes a shitload of money. And so it's like, I don't know, man. I personally, I understand why some people have that take, and especially if you live through it, maybe it's different. But I can't get behind it, man. I really can't. I think that of the 80s and just horror characters, I think Freddy is the most recognizable, and he ruled the most important era. I think that nowadays it is Michael Myers, like unequivocally, but that's just because he's had multiple movies come out while neither one of these franchises has done anything. But I don't know, man. I mean, where do you sit with it? Because I mean, it's I don't know, more of a dig at. I mean, we both agreed about Freddy.
I don't know. It's tough. I just go like, it's hard because I don't live in the normal world, because I'm in the horror world, and that's the most of the people I talk to. It always seems like I talk to more people that are Friday the 13th fans than anything. That's it. So maybe I'm skewed. I don't know. Like I've said, I that's why we have these discussions, to see what other people think, because I don't know. I just don't know. But yeah, looking back in the 80s, like, the numbers don't lie. Fred, it wasn't even close.
No,
It wasn't even close. Freddy's the first 4 movies continually made more money.
Christian, not even just that, dude. People overrate Halloween 4, for example. Like, I remember you watch 25 Years of Terror, or you watch any documentary on the Halloween franchise, and every time they get to Halloween 4, they're like, well, Halloween 4 came out and it was a big hit. And, it really was an injection, a shot in the arm for the Halloween franchise. And I look back and I go, it made $18 million.
Yeah, and Freddy Dream Master made 50.
Yes. Like, Halloween 3 made more than 4. What do you mean it was a shot in the arm? Like, and it was panned critically. I guess it was a shot in the arm in the sense of the fans were like, cool, Michael Myers is back.
Yeah, a little heroin's better than no heroin, I guess.
Yes, but I mean, they always overrate it. And then Halloween 5 made like 15 million.
You know
and
what's crazy?
Yeah.
Mustafa got money up front for Halloween 5 for all the movie theaters. So even if that movie tanked, it didn't matter to him.
No, he got his money.
That's incredible to me.
Yeah. It's just wild. It literally boggles the mind. Like, when you think about it, you're like, I mean, yeah, as much as I'm a Michael guy, as much as I love Halloween and everything like that, dude, Michael was getting shit on in the 80s, like absolutely pooped on. Yeah. And then in the 90s, Freddy's Dead came out in 95, right?
91.
God, wow. No, I'm thinking, yes, that's what I'm thinking. Okay, so Freddy's Dead comes out in 91. It makes like what, 32, 33 million?
Yeah, it did pretty damn good. Yeah.
Yeah. And then Halloween, The Curse of Michael Myers comes out and makes like 15, 20 million, something like that. And it's just kind of like, even when Freddy was down, he was still up. I get it. Halloween and Halloween 2 were another beast. Those movies were huge. But after that, Halloween never gained its footing again until H2O. And it was short-lived, because H2O did well. And then Resurrection made like 33, but it like was less than half of H2O. Like, you know what I mean?
The stars definitely aligned looking back. And it's interesting, if Freddy's Dead hadn't have done well, they wouldn't have been like, okay, we've got to stretch this and make another. Like, they probably wouldn't have made another Jason movie at the time. They would have waited. If they would have tried going forward more with Freddy versus Jason. So the reason we have Jason Goes to Hell is truly because not technically Jason X, but the reason we have Jason Goes to Hell for sure was because New Line said, why we can milk this cow more. There's still profit here. Why are we just gonna do Freddy versus Jason? We bought this character. Why are we? And that's where the seed for Jason Goes to Hell really came from.
Yeah, and I see JG says it was only made on $5 million, so it made its money back. It definitely did. Halloween 4, Halloween 5, and Halloween 6. They all made their money back. That's, but I'm just saying, whereas they're making their money back and skating by, Freddy's buying Bob Shea pools. You know what I mean?
for his dogs.
Yes. So I just, even as a Halloween guy, man, I got to be honest sometimes and be like, dude, I mean, Bob Shea was living a lot better than Mustafa was, especially near the end there. I don't know. I think part of that was, like we talked about, Freddy was a character you could sell, even if the movie was just dog shit.
Mm-hmm.
Like, he's a character you can sell. I mean, with Halloween, if the movie's dog shit, it's like Myers has no personality, really. Like, what's when you walk away from the movie, are you going to be like Halloween Resurrection? I think the movie's dog shit. And you don't even think about Myers' performance in it, because if the movie around it is dog shit, nobody cares.
It's hard. It's hard to take it seriously.
Yeah. So I don't know, but that's where I stand with that.
If you want, you could either go to the comments if you want to, or because I've got Richard Strange first comment situated. He's got 2.
Go ahead, pull it up.
All right, this is from Richard Stange. I keep wanting to say Strange, but it's Stange. First things first, I must get straight. I'm sorry, Nick. I love you, man, but you have Jason Voorhees wrong. He is definitely more iconic than Freddy and Michael, even though they are all 3 on the same level, really. It original 1990 has no warts, as you call them. God, he's going after you.
I know, he really did. He's a good guy, though, Richard. If you're watching this, I do not take this personally. You're a good guy.
It would be hard for me to disagree with most what you guys said. It would be nice to see the classic Universal monsters. They are definitely icons, which is why I didn't do it, because it's just like, And some were semicolons and cults in that franchise universe as well. Also, I disagree with Freddy being the greatest horror villain of all time. Count Dracula is the greatest horror villain. Dracula was published in 1997, well over 100 years ago, and the character is still being adapted. I think it is a fact that Count Dracula is the greatest horror villain of all time.
We did admit our oversight and saying that we didn't include the Universal monsters, but honestly, yeah, Dracula is probably, I would say, trumps them all. Everybody knows. I mean, even if your basic inspiration for any vampire movie is Dracula. Yeah. So, but I mean, okay, as far as his comment goes, and I want your opinion on it too. Again, it is all subjectivity, like all of us. It's all subjective. We can say, well, this guy's bigger than this one because X, Y, Z. Yeah, but we can't actually really definitively prove that. It's our opinion. We have our reasons for having our opinion. Yada yada. Mm-hmm. Having said that, though, Christian, as a fan of as we both are, but as the bigger fan of the 1990 miniseries of it definitely has warts, especially in that second half. That series is not flawless. You could not convince Tommy Lee Wallace of that.
The first half is certainly better.
The spider alone, there's a wart.
Yeah, that's really. I think the first one. There are moments in 2 that I love more than anything. As a matter of fact, my favorite moment of the entire thing is in the second part, which is when they have the flashback of Stuttering Stanley, when he goes inside the house and you see that mummy Pennywise. Oh, it terrified me. Mm-hmm. The spider, it's definitely a wart, but it was really sad because the documentary Pennywise, the story of it, that just came out, Tommy said the first time I ever saw that thing was the day I had to shoot it, and it was nothing like I thought it was going to be. And it's supposed to be a spider. It just looks like a big ass like crab tarantula thing that couldn't move. It was unoperable. So it's certainly a wart. Not to mention, I think what it really boils down to is what would have been cooler than I don't think either movie made the ending better than the actual clown. Quite frankly,
no. But have you read the book?
No, I have not read the book.
You can't do that ending. You cannot do the ending.
You know what? Sydney told me about that. She's told me. I don't remember what it is. If it's really profane.
It's basically like a fucking astral projected fight between the turtle and it. Mm-hmm. And it's so fucking weird. You couldn't do it. There's just no way. It's like Bill using fighting in another dimension almost with the help of the turtle. And I mean, even reading it, I was like, dude, Stephen King was high as shit. Yeah. He was so high when he wrote that. And it's also the ending of the first part where they all have an orgy with Bev as teenagers. Stephen King and his endings, man. I know it's a running joke, but it's true. Like most of it's true. Like some of them are just like you can't. You could not film that.
I think that So I think it's fair to say that the second one has warts, but Richard loves it. So
yes,
I like part 2 as well. I really do. I think for the most part, dude, look at the cast. The cast in the original or the TV movie is sensational.
No, I like the miniseries. I always have, and nostalgia absolutely plays a huge role in that. But I do think it is unequivocally a good miniseries. I do think it's good, but and don't get me wrong, It and It Chapter 2 have a ton of warts too, mainly the CGI. And I totally get Andy Muschietti talked about we wanted it to look cartoony and nightmarish because it's kids' imaginations. But at the same time, as someone that isn't a child watching that movie, I'm like, some of this is too corny. I love those movies, but
dude, the clown works better with the kids in both movies. I think that's pretty fair to say. That might just be straight up fact. Mm-hmm. I mean, let's call a spade a spade.
But yeah. But I like Chapter 2 more simply, and I know I am in the vast minority with that one. But I don't know what it was. I think the adult cast was like literally perfect. I think they all looked like grown-up versions of those kids, which was wild. I thought they all had really good chemistry. It also had an A-list cast. You know, Jessica Chastain, you had fucking James McAvoy, Bill Hader. Like, it was awesomely cast, and it was darker. Like, that movie was meaner. That's one thing you cannot take away from Chapter 2. There is a lot of comedy, sure, and Bill Hader is hilarious in the movie. But, like, the dark moments are super dark. I remember the scene where he kills Vicky under the bleachers. I'm just like, dear God. And then you get another child murder scene, and they don't hold back at all. In the funhouse, he just chomps that kid. Blood goes everywhere. You're like,
there were good moments in 2. The opening of 2. The readaptation. I'm gonna call it remake because it's too big of a word, guys. The opening of the new It Chapter 2. How about that? Had the best because that was great because it shows that Pennywise, like, man, you really don't like it. He just killed a bullied gay kid.
Yeah,
I mean, like that's how you become a villain.
The book makes it clear, but why he was attacked in the first place because of the infection. Like, Pennywise had pretty much infected a lot of people in that town. That evil had infected that town. So, like, the anger and the vitriol that those people used against that guy and beat him up, that was an extension of Pennywise. Right. So then it was like they started it, and Pennywise was like, cool, now I can eat you. JG Michael wants to know my opinion on the first half of the ending of that book. I do think some of the controversy is blown out of proportion because if you read it, it is not like it's not something that he like romanticizes what they're doing in that sewer. I'll just say that. Like, it's not something like that. So I don't find it offensive, but I do find it, I wouldn't want to see that in a film.
I think it's interesting. Yes, is that what people say when they don't know what to say?
Yeah, it's like, that's an odd decision, but the explanation is that they had it was them losing their childhood, like leaving all of that behind them. They're transitioning into adulthood. I think it's a little on the nose to make your transition into adulthood getting laid, but I mean, that's kind of what they did. So, you know, it's that movie, that book, the miniseries, the movies, they're a whole can of worms anytime you talk about it. But I think at the end of the day, most people agree both on-screen adaptations we got pretty good. Like, you know, I don't think many people were like, this fucking sucks. I saw Batman in the chat, Vengeance. He said, I never liked it. Well,
what can you do?
Ryan wants to know, Nick and Christian, have you either one of you ever seen Frailty? Yes. Yeah. Frailty's awesome.
Yeah.
That's a great movie.
Great Bill Paxton film.
Yes. Yeah. That is a very good movie.
Kind of a hidden gem now. Granted, it's kind of missing on physical media. If it gets a new release, that always bumps up its fan base for sure. Great movie. That scared the fuck out of me when I saw it in like the next year, whenever it came out on VHS. My family rented it, and it fucked with me for days.
Just don't ask Christian about Session 9. He can't get behind it.
You want me to ask another one?
Yeah. Hit it.
This was a good one. Where would you guys put the Killer Klowns? I know they only have one movie, but they've gotten a ton of attention recently. I thought that was a great question.
Colt.
I agree, because I think they've officially outgrown their own movie because of Spirit Halloween. I think more people know them and just think of them as some brand, right?
Mm-hmm.
And definitely Colt for sure. You know, I would have almost said subculture, but when I thought about that today when I looked at the comment, I was like, you know what, man? Like, they've got blankets, shirts, dolls, toys, T-shirts. I went to Spencer's last week or whatever, and like, dude, there's a Killer Clown T-shirt section.
They got that big ass animatronic at Spirit.
They got animatronics. You know, I love Killer Clowns. So
I mean, I want to ask you too. I mean, on that same topic, with how much they're romanticizing Killer Clowns lately, mainly Spirit, but you got to think a new movie or something's coming soon, right?
Yeah, I was thinking about that as well. It's like, are they George Lucasing it? Because I remember when I was really, really little, it was 97, and like the McDonald's had toys, KB Toys was flooded with toys, Walmart was flooded with toys. And I was thinking to myself, looking back, of course, not when I'm fucking a baby, little kid, thinking, does this mean they're going to make a new movie?
Mm-hmm.
But looking back, it's like Lucas was really putting out feelers, I think. And he was like, when everything was selling at such an incredible rate, all these toys and stuff, he was like, let's go to work. And you almost got to wonder, if you're licensing out these properties, and whoever owns Killer Clowns, and obviously Legendary owns Trick or Treat, at a certain point, you got to say, how hard does this baseball bat have to hit me in the face before I realize, like, it's time to, you know, it's like, what is the thing is, here's the deal though. Michael Dougherty, put the movie in his hands, trust him, let him do his thing. If you give me anything but practical effect clowns in this movie, dead on arrival.
Yes.
Dead on arrival. Unless it's like a cartoon type thing. Different ball of wax. Because I could see them doing that, quite frankly, because the cartoon artwork is massive on the merchandise. So maybe they could do something like that. But if they make a movie, they've got to. The Chiodo brothers have got to. Like, that's from the movie mold. That expensive ass clown I have there. They gotta shove those on people's heads. They got to. So
yeah, I mean, for me, I agree. It needs to be practical. If it's not practical, it's just not going to work. Like, it's not going to work. You're not going to get the people you need to go out and see that movie. I mean,
no.
the fans of it. So,
and they should do like a Fathom event thing for it too.
Yes. Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. And then as far as Trick or Treat, as long as Dougherty's the director, I'm down. If you announce anybody else, I don't know. I don't know how I'd feel. Like, I really don't. I think the guy works with monsters super well. He's proven it to me 3 times with Trick or Treat, Krampus, and then Godzilla King of the Monsters. The dude does that shit well. Like, you give it to him. He wrote it. He created it. It's his baby. Like, do not give that to somebody else. Just don't do it. But yeah, like you said, how much of a beating do you need to realize, like, you know what? There might be some money in this. Like, I mean, at some point, all the piles of money you're making every year from August to November at Spirit Halloween, maybe you should be looking at that and going, maybe we take a chunk of that and make a new movie. Maybe. And then because that only helps your merchandising. That only helps your marketability. You can put out new stuff from that new movie.
Yeah,
and
it's insane. It's fucking incredible to me.
Yeah.
I would have to imagine with Trick or Treat, though, it seems like I almost wonder if it's more Michael than anything. Like, hey, I can do it, but I've got to write it, which I think he's already written in one. But
yes,
he's got to get the time to do it.
Well, he hasn't done a feature since King of the Monsters, because he had said in an interview after King of the Monsters came out, actually leading up to it when he was doing press, he said that the next thing, his goal was his next movie was Trick or Treat 2. That was the plan. And obviously King of the Monsters is a legendary property. So, like, that was the plan. And then a year and a half later, COVID happened. And then right after COVID, everything starts getting back to normal. You start to hear news. Oh, Winona Ryder, Trick or Treat 2. And then
God,
strikes.
I want it so much.
Yeah, it's like it's almost like this movie, everything is against this movie. Aside from how popular and how well it would do and how much everybody wants to see it. Everything else is against it, though. But yeah, I want to see it. I need to see it. I don't give a shit. People say it doesn't need a sequel. Nothing needs a sequel, but guess what? Trick or Treat's an anthology movie, so none of that shit's linear. The only thing that's linear is Sam, which makes the sequel awesome. I mean, it makes it non-blasphemous in any way. If it's just going to be another anthology with just Sam carrying over, I'm cool with it. Tales from the Shelf. How you doing, man? He puts in a $4.99 super chat. Says, yo, what up, fellas? Playing some TCM while I listen to this. Always glad to have more Uneeda in my life. Yeah, we're glad to be here, brother. And I'm glad to hear you're playing that. Thank you for the super chat. I just started playing it last night. I only played 2 matches. I won both as the family. And my first match I ever played, my brother was talking to me. He's like, it's hard as shit, man. My first match I ever played, I was a hitchhiker. And I kind of didn't know what I was doing. Until the end, when I had fed Grandpa enough blood to where you could see the survivors. There was only one left. I found that bitch, stabbed her in the throat, got the final kill. So, yeah, it was cool. Ben Grimm, yes, there is a sequel comic book, and I own it. I actually could go get it. It's on top of my bookshelf. It's called Trick or Treat: Days of the Dead. Have you read that, Christian?
I have it, but I've never read it.
Yeah, it's actually pretty cool. I like it a lot. I display it on top of my shelf just because I just every now and then I look at it and I go, man, if only we could get this in movie form or something like this.
Yeah.
Yeah. But Dallas wants to know, Christian, do you know if Legendary still has Texas Chainsaw's IP?
It's hard to say.
Was the new movie Legendary?
Let me see. Let me Wikipedia it.
And then while you're looking that up, CR wants to know, where would you guys place Billy from Black Christmas? Subculture? I wouldn't say subculture. I'd say cult as well. I really would. You could even make an argument to me. I would hear an argument of semi-icon. I would hear that argument. I'd probably still go with cult, but I would hear that argument for sure.
Legendary was a production company behind the new Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Okay.
So
then maybe they do. I don't know. Legendary's weird, man. They have a lot more properties than people think than we realize, but they just don't do a lot with them. Like it's like
they're just chilling, dude. They're just collecting the license fees from Trick or Treat.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like they got Trick or Treat, they got Godzilla, which that shit. Working with Toho to get that was not easy. Like and that wasn't cheap either.
No.
Yeah, man. Legendary's sitting pretty. I know there was a rumor. A lot of people were like, "Oh no!" After Godzilla versus Kong, it looks like Legendary might be letting the rights lapse, and they might be gone. And then Legendary was like, "Fuck that! We're making another movie." So, which I'm glad because I think they've done great things with the MonsterVerse. I really, really do.
Oh yeah, I loved all of them. I really did. I really took a shine to 2014 after a number of years.
I saw that movie 4 times in theaters. I just wanted Godzilla back so bad. It had been almost 20 years since like a mainstream Hollywood adaptation.
Yeah. And
I just thought, as much as the first half of that movie is so boring sometimes, once Godzilla shows up on screen, I'm just like, yes, this is where I need to be. VHS3 says Wishmaster placement on the list.
I really do respect Wishmaster. I think it's actually a gem, and it's a very unique film, especially during that time. It's kind of like hey, what about the monster movies? So, but I'd agree. I'd almost say Back of the Line, even though I really like. My wife loves Wishmaster. I could say, hey, let's watch this, and she'll put it on. She'll put it on all the time.
JG wants to know where we would put Mary Lou, Prom Night 2 and 3.
Come on, man. Don't make me. Like, I have to be really honest. Come on. Kevin Schmidt says, why does Annie Wilkes never make it into these conversations? We suck as a fandom. First of all, Kevin, fuck you. You suck. Honestly, no, I'm kidding, Kevin. I didn't think about it. Like I said, man, it's hard. I was telling Nick, give me a break. I had 35 people I mean, I can only think of so many people at the time. With that being said, Annie Wilkes, subculture. Now, Kathy Bates is an icon.
Yes. Yes.
But when you think of Kathy Bates, come on, you're thinking of Mama Boucher above anything else, and don't even try to lie to me.
Yeah.
That's Mama Boucher.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
McHorror, I gotta take this comment on. So wrong. This isn't even hyperbole. Godzilla versus Kong literally saved movie theaters. Like,
yeah, it was one of the first big.
Yes.
It was massive overseas too.
The industry was terrified. Studios were terrified that movies were going to be done, and Legendary held their ground, and they said, we're putting this in theaters. And it had the biggest opening in years in the US. It killed it overseas and made over 500 million. It's the highest grossing MonsterVerse movie, and it came out still in the COVID pandemic. And
it was early 2020. Was it late 2020 or early 2021?
It was May of 2021. And it was my return to the theater after a year and a half was that movie. And you can go to Deadline, you can go to Variety, you can go to all these sites. And yes, sure, it's all opinion, but every single one of them did write-ups about how that movie saved the theater.
I remember.
Industry. Yeah.
I went into that movie a Kong fan, and I came out a Godzilla fan. I thought they portrayed Kong as too much of a baby face in that movie, and wrestling term, too much of a good guy. And I don't know, I understand why clearly, but man, I love it when they go to Kong instead of having Kong go to Godzilla. So Godzilla was mean as hell, and I loved God. I ended up becoming a bigger Godzilla fan from Godzilla versus Kong.
Yeah.
So I thought that movie was great. I loved all the neon lights and stuff, which was a lot of people had some issues with that because they were like, "Oh, this looks like a Christmas tree fight." But I thought it was
shit in
really
China
pretty.
was awesome. Oh yeah,
I thought it was really pretty.
Let's see. Dalton, Hobgoblins tier, back of the line, brother.
Back of the line. Fuck off, y'all, with this Hobgoblin shit.
K-Dog, has anyone ever ruined your love for a movie?
Oh, Nick does all the time.
Fuck off.
No, I don't know. Maybe.
I'd have to think about that.
I
can't think of Saw 4 without thinking of my ex-girlfriend, because that was one of our first dates, not my ex-wife. So I don't know if that ruined it, but literally I watched it again the other night for the first time in a couple of years, and I immediately thought of that when we snuck into the theater to see that when we were teenagers. So I don't know if anyone's ruined it, but I have memories tied to movies that I'll never forget.
I'll figure it out as soon as we're off air, of course.
Yeah, Christian will be like, "Yeah, fucking Halloween Ends." Nick, VHS3 says Angela from Sleepaway Camp placement. What's up, Big Daddy J?
Both of them subcultures, meaning Pamela and Angela, meaning Pamela and the girl from the first movie. Forget her name. Pamela Springsteen. Both of them, same tier.
Felissa
Rose.
Yeah.
Both of them.
Yeah, I would agree.
Felissa, you know what? Felissa may be cult. She is
because of her boobs.
She is at every convention. She has massive lines. Her image is starting to pop up a lot of places. I would put Pamela in subculture and Felissa in cult.
I'd agree with that. Ben Grimm's talking about how they did Kong dirty, how he would have died 4 times if the military didn't intervene in that movie. Look, my opinion on that is pretty simple, though. He's way outmatched by Godzilla. I understand that years ago they wanted to merge these two worlds and they wanted these two to fight, but Godzilla is stronger, he's bigger, he literally has atomic breath. He's better. He's just better. Kong has opposable thumbs, yes, but I think so if it were literally just hand-to-hand combat with Godzilla's little T-Rex arms, yeah, maybe, but Godzilla's got that fucking tail that can take down buildings. He can shoot atomic breath at you. He can swim. He's a lizard. I just think that I understand there's a lot of people that are Kong fans and I love Kong too. Kong Skull Island is, I still think, my favorite on-screen representation of King Kong. But having said that, he's just outmatched against Godzilla. He just is. Like, I was going to be pissed. I remember leading up to that movie, I was like, bro, I literally, like, if Godzilla loses, I'm going to be pissed. Like, I really was going to be pissed. And the only time Godzilla, quote unquote, lost in that movie was with Mechagodzilla. But that's because Mechagodzilla was literally created to be better.
Oh, I hated that. That's the only thing I don't like about that movie is the design of it.
Yeah, it was a little like, I don't know.
It was like Alien 2, like endoskeleton-ish kind of look.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Other than that, I still love the 60s Godzilla versus King Kong, where two dudes in a suit literally just swing at each other.
Did you catch the reference to that in the new movie?
I've slept since then, if I did.
Well, you remember the famous GIF of the tree getting shoved in the mouth?
Right.
They did a nice little callback to that. I think at one point Kong puts the axe in Godzilla's mouth.
I need to watch that again.
Or I think it's the axe. He puts something in his mouth, and it was. I remember Adam Wingard saying in an interview that it was an intentional callback. They didn't want to go as corny as him picking up a tree and putting it in his fucking mouth.
That would have been badass, dude.
Yeah, me? But yeah.
I love that movie because the King Kong suit, the face just looks like roadkill. And it's hysterical. But those movies are so funny. Yeah, they're so funny.
So Dalton's asking about Tim Burton, Batman Returns, or Nightmare Before Christmas. Christian's going to say Batman Returns.
Which one I prefer?
Yeah.
Oh no, I'm not a fan of Batman Returns. I just like the '89 one.
Okay.
So I'd go Nightmare Before Christmas. When I say I'm picky with superhero movies, like I genuinely enjoy maybe a couple. Like the old Superman films I'll watch, and I love the first '89 Batman. That's the exact perfect blend of everything that I would like in a superhero movie is the '89 version.
Yeah,
I'm not a big Returns fan.
Neither am I. So it's Nightmare Before Christmas for me easily. I don't even, and even then, I'm not
Danny Elfman guy. Come on, like
I'm not a
Oingo Boingo fan.
Some people are like, I mean, some people on about Nightmare Before Christmas, it's their whole personality. Yeah. I'm not like that. But there's people that genuinely adore that movie. I think it's great, but yeah, it's definitely better than Batman Returns, I would say. Getting the Sleepy Hollow 4K, Christian?
You know what? I was never a giant fan of that movie. I used to watch it when I was younger, and I watched it again about a year or so ago, and I thought it was good. When I learned the context, the fact that Tim made that movie more aggressive and mad and mean because of his anger after the Superman fiasco he had. And I was like, oh, wow, I can see that more now. So, yes, long story short, yes, I will. I think I have a DVD of that movie. So
I have the DVD.
It'd be an easy upgrade. I wouldn't I wouldn't have to justify it.
Yeah.
Dude, you need to check out that Johnny Depp Heard trial documentary.
I watched the preview for it on Netflix the other day, and I was like, I don't know.
It's really interesting because it's not one of those things where people are, it's not talking heads that like, who are these people? It literally just shows moments from the trial and expresses stuff. It was really interesting to watch.
This is an interesting one. Muzak says Batman Returns has the best live action Gotham, in my opinion. I'm going to disagree. I think Matt Reeves in The Batman, I think that was my favorite on-screen representation of Gotham, even if just visually. I thought Gotham looked... I've never felt like Gotham was as crime-ridden and just dingy as Matt Reeves' Batman.
I'm not versed enough to be able to answer that. I have to go to your better judgment on that.
I will just say
I watched Batman when it came out, and I haven't watched '89 in a number of years, 2 or 3 years.
That's the one thing that Nolan didn't do well enough for me in the Dark Knight trilogy. Gotham there were times where the people of Gotham seemed kind of seedy and shady, but I never felt like the city as a whole was as crime-ridden and as much of a problem as we always were led to believe that it was. I think that was one of the only knocks on Nolan's trilogy was I just didn't feel like Gotham was enough of a character. I just didn't. Whereas I think that And Matt Reeves, the Batman, I absolutely think Gotham is a character in and of itself. And even if just visually, that movie has some of the the best cityscapes. I mean, just yes, yeah. But Returns is good. Yes. And Muzak follows up saying that it feels right from the comics. That's absolutely true. I guess I just lean more. I'm not as big of the comics fan. But yeah, Dallas says Nolan's Gotham was just Chicago. I mean, yeah, basically, Gotham shouldn't feel like, oh, we're in Atlanta, we're in Chicago. No, it should feel like worse than any city.
Chicago's pretty bad now, I hear.
It is pretty bad, but it also has been pretty bad for a long time. So, yeah, I don't know. That's where I stand on that. But Matt wants to know if we're getting the David Gordon Green Halloween 4K Steelbook set.
I mean, you know what? It's pretty cool looking. I'll probably break down because I just rewatch all those movies, and it's much easier to consume them now that it's all said and done. You know, it's like it happened, and I walked away enjoying things about all three of them. Still have hardcore fan gripes, but you know, I like a lot of movies that I really like. I can't justify stuff about them, so I'd feel hypocritical to railroad those movies anymore. I don't have any desire to railroad them. So that being said, I don't know, probably, unless it's ridiculously priced, but it's pretty.
That's the only caveat for me. If it's like insanely priced, no. I own all of them, you know, on 4K, you've got Steelbooks. I mean, at some point, even as a Halloween fan, there does need to be a line where I'm like, if this is $130, $140, there's no fucking way I'm buying it. Like, I'm not. Okay. Ben says Jack Burton or Snake Plissken. Plissken for me personally.
Big Trouble in Little China is way better than Escape from New York. I'm Jack Burton all fucking day.
Okay.
You know what Jack Burton says in a time like this? Who the fuck is that? Yeah. Come on, dude.
Oh, I figured you were gonna go Burton.
Come on,
you know, I know you love Big Trouble. So let's preview what we got coming up next.
Big Crack Rock is so right. All that motherfucker does is cry. I mean, maybe if I had a heart attack too, I would cry every day too. But also, like, my grandpa had like 3 heart attacks and like 2 open heart surgeries, and he still like calls me a sissy baby if I get nervous or scared about something. So
hey,
he goes the other way on that one.
Yeah, don't switch up now. I'm previewing what's coming next, guys. As far as episodes we have in mind, like, obviously hopefully by the end of this month, we will do another After Dark. Last time we did that, it did get a little off the rails because I think that moving forward, it's going to be a thing where we make it known to people when we do those that, like, I don't want to bring on, 7, 8 people at one time, because then it's just like Christian and I aren't even talking. And then, there's a lot of different topics that people want to talk about and cover, and it can just kind of get a little hectic. So probably just like one person at a time, but we're definitely going to do another one of those very soon, because that was something we promised you guys. And then as far as episodes we have, this is where you guys come in. Christian and I, he'll text me an idea. Hey, you want to watch this movie for the pod this week? Sure. Or, hey, we'll see a video and go, we should do that. All right, we'll do it this week. But I mean, this is where you guys come in. Like, you guys let us know in all seriousness, like, what you'd like to see.
Shouldn't have said all seriousness.
In all seriousness, because I know, Hobgoblins 2, the price is still $750.
$750 cash.
You pay $750
cash
to either one of our PayPals, and we are doing Hobgoblins 2. But as aside from that, I mean, you guys let us know. Like, we have ideas. We could brainstorm. I mean, I know we're gonna have Gary on soon. Gary Tunnicliffe back on. I want to get Sean Clark back on soon. Some guys that we haven't touched base with in like a year. So I'd like to get them back on. Plus, we gotta ask Gary what he thought about Hellraiser. We haven't talked to him since before it came out. But yeah, I mean, as far as fuck that, Ben. No. Midsummer watch along? No.
Come on, I do that.
Dude, it's like 3 hours.
I don't want to watch the director's cut.
Oh, so 2.5. Okay. So it'd be a 3-hour long episode. That movie I just found it boring, man. I just really, I don't know.
Which is probably why Ben's suggesting it.
Yeah. Muzak asking about Ashley Lawrence. I'm glad you brought that up. I followed up with that about 2 weeks ago to the contact that I was talking about about it. From what I was told, she still wanted to, but as of right now, the big reason why she can't do press anyway. So she had been filming something. She had said that when she was done with that and her schedule lightened up, she'd like to come on. Strikes happen. She can't do anything, even if she wanted to, because she's a member of SAG. So hopefully this stuff gets resolved soon. I was supposed to have, and I'm still going to have, I've been in contact with Michelle Dawson, who was Nurse Deb from Halloween Ends, the hot redhead. She wants to come on my channel. And we had set up a date and everything the week before the strikes happened. And then she messaged me and she was like, hey, just want to let you know, I can't now that we're on the strike. She was like, but don't get the wrong idea. As soon as these are over, I'm going to do it. And I was like, oh, you're good. I totally get it. So we just can't have actors on right now, or writers for that matter. I reached out to Josh Stolberg, the writer of Saw 10, on Twitter, because he followed me a couple days ago. I reached out to him and I said, hey, would love to have you on our podcast, blah, blah, blah. And I got the same, he basically was like, I'd love to once the strikes are resolved. So there's people, there's people that we have that we can get on here, but anybody that's working in the industry as a writer or an actor right now, they can't come on right now. They literally can't. So Sorority House Massacre 2 watch along. That's 2 people saying that. An episode covering Bravo's original 100 scariest movie moments. That's a good one.
Yeah, if I could get a list form for it.
I'm sure you could. Yeah. Brokeback Mountain watch along
all day. I love that movie, dude. That movie.
It's a good movie. It's a good movie.
It became a meme in school. Your favorite movie's Brokeback Mountain. Like 2005 or whatever. All my friends would, and then I was like, one day I was home alone. I was like, I'm gonna fucking watch this movie. And I was thinking, okay, whatever. No, dude, they just start fucking in that tent out of nowhere. Mm-hmm. It's crazy shit. Props to those guys. They went for it.
You want to set a dollar amount for Brokeback Mountain? People are asking about it.
Brokeback Mountain, I'm gonna set the price at $475 cash.
There you go. There you go. Phantasm watch along.
Phantasm
I want to do 2.
Phantasm watch along is gonna be $350 cash.
Phantasm 2 is free. We'll do 2 for free. Yeah, we're getting a lot of joke requests in here, so you were right. Maybe
here's one comment about me. That way I can even the odds. This is for the Saw episode we did, which I thought was a great episode. It did really good. It's got 2.4 thousand views, so people really into that. Hollering Smith, I love you, Christian, but you are absolutely wrong about the Saw franchise. Laugh my ass off. 2 is the best, and 5 is by far the worst. Like I said, dude, it's interesting. People love 2, but me and Sydney rewatched a couple after that episode because she was like, what are you guys doing the show on? I was like, oh, it's Saw. And she was like, let's rewatch a couple. I was like, I just rewatched a bunch of them. She goes, well, I never, so let's watch some. And she's like, I was like, every time I ask her, which one do you want to watch? She always goes to the first one. Always. So we watched the first 3, and I don't know, she loves 1. And then she agreed. She was like, 2's just, I don't know. And besides the soundtrack, which I think 2 has the best soundtrack. I mean, all the music in that one is great, but still, I'm sorry, 2 is not my jam.
Dude, I made
Dallas Jones. 2 is the best, and 5 is the worst. Great. You know what, Dallas Jones? Guess what? You know what? You just made the list. All right, you son of a bitch.
What's the list? You'll find out eventually.
You'll find out.
As far as an update on Sean Clark, we can have Sean on anytime. He's reiterated that to us. As long as we work out schedules like a week in advance, we can get Sean on here.
Here's the thing, though, Ryan. I'm grateful that you're saying it, Ryan. You want to know how you make him not amazing? If he comes on too often.
Yes, it's been a year, so it's right around the time where we do it again.
All I want to talk about with Sean is Tony Moran.
Yeah,
I am the only one that played Michael Myers. You fucking bitch.
The Babadook is 1,000.
Babadook is 1,000.
Fantastic. We got a question about Ravager. I said 1,000 as well.
Hey, listen, Babadook is 1,000 plus per diem.
Yes.
And I'm gonna be hungry that day.
Yes. Yeah. No, dude. I saw. I made a poll on Twitter the other day, just when I was watching Saw 4.
I saw it. Well, I saw it. Saw 5 did not get the highest rating.
And some people, I got a couple replies like,
why?
Some people were like, "What? Like, why is Saw 5 on here?" I was like, guys, I picked the 4 lowest rated movies, like on IMDb. Like that was it. It wasn't my opinion. Those are the 4 lowest rated. So out of the 4 that most people say are unequivocally the bottom 4,
5 is money.
Yeah, no, I really, really liked it upon my most recent rewatch. I really, really did. Yeah. I feel like once you accept that you're getting into the Hoffman world, it's so much easier. I still hate the ending of Saw 4. Hate that ending more than anything in the world. It's just so anticlimactic. And also just really dumb. Like Eric dies because Rig came through the door. So I was pissed about Eric dying. Somehow the guy's able to still throw the tape recorder to Rig, even though he's getting shot in the head at the same time. And then Hoffman just unties his arms and stands up and goes game over. I'm like, y'all tried to recreate the surprise of the first movie, and it just was no.
Fucking bastards.
No. Yeah, just no. I like Saw 4, but I hate that ending. Thank you, Cody. Appreciate you. So yeah, anything else, Christian? We've been going about an hour and a half.
Let me just, if you want to answer a couple more questions, I'll look for one more good one.
Happy Hell Night commentary, just because it's kind of obscure. I've never even heard of it.
Yeah, and you'll be the only one watching it, JG Michael.
Enter the Void or Requiem for a Dream? Requiem for a Dream.
I don't think I've seen Enter the Void, so I have to vote Requiem as well.
That's why I did. I haven't seen it.
I like how I am the one that admits it, though, you motherfucker.
I didn't give a reason why in my defense, so I didn't say, you know what, it's just so much better.
Let me see. Let me go to the therapy session episode.
By the way, guys, if you have not liked this, there's over 80 of you guys in here right now. Please throw a like.
Drop a like.
Drop a like. And I know some of you guys are probably here from Christian, obviously. This is my channel. So if you haven't subscribed to my channel, my stuff doesn't totally suck.
Like and subscribe.
Pick 31 movies to watch during October, an episode where we do that. We could do that this October for sure. We could plan that to have it drop October 1st. So if you guys wanted to be like true, loyal Uneeda listeners, we'll give you a list. That's actually a good idea. Good shit, Zach.
That is a good idea.
Yeah. And I'm sure we would disagree. Well, actually, we would each have our own 31 list. So it'd be interesting to see how alike they are and maybe how different they are. Yeah, I have not seen Gaspar Noé Climax. No, I don't.
I have not, Dallas, but you're on my list, brother. Tony Moran checking up with the bully girl from the school bathroom screen is crazy. Oh, dude. Yes. And they're both. No, I don't want to say anything that can get me in trouble.
Oh, really quick. Do have to say, I was arguing with a troll earlier on my channel because he found my Danielle Harris video where I said it's not going to happen. And he was like, well, that's just subjective arrogance. You don't know that. And I replied and I said, no, I do know that. Like, I'm just letting you know, like, it's not going to happen. And he was like, I don't care about your narcissism complex. You can't say that. So yeah, dude, this guy was a fucking asshole. So
go ahead. I went through the same fucking thing, and it's the exact same kind of situation.
Yeah. So let me just say this. I'm allowed to say this publicly. I'm not going to give you reasons why,
you
but
jackass.
I will say publicly, you fucking twat waffle. Sean Clark directly told Christian and I She is never coming back to Halloween as long as Malik Akkad is alive. You can take that information however you want. We know why. I'm not going to put Sean on
know
blast.
why? Like, this is fanboy bullshit. Do you really think anybody besides us Halloween fanatics would go pay money to see that at a movie theater?
Even then, Christian, forget about the marketability. There are reasons that Malik has that he does not want to work with her. So y'all can believe what you want to believe. You can shit in one hand and hope in the other. Tell me which one fills up faster.
Which I do.
Because it's never going to happen. Never and never. And I'm not going to put the reasons out there. And Christian's not going to put the reasons out there because I don't want to blast Sean like that. But he told us both the reasons why. And let me just tell you something. It ain't happening. It's never going to happen. So before you comment on a video like that and say from somebody, a channel you come across, you don't know where they get their information. You don't know who they talk to. You don't know. And if you watch the whole video, you might have had a different perspective on it, but you just saw the title and you're like, you're a fucking idiot. And it's like, all right, man, I guess I'm done.
I had the same thing happen to me when we got the announcement that Halloween 6 through 8 were coming out last year. And this, this is why I don't even bother saying like, look, guys, I have it on good authority because of the person I talk to. Because first of all, I never think anybody's going to take me seriously when I say that anyway.
Yeah, sources trust me, bro. Yeah.
But of course, it was again Sean Clark. This is in the past, so it's not like I'm giving anything away. But I remember I was like, Sean, so what's going on with Halloween? Rob Zombie's movies? Why are they not coming? A Scream Factory putting them out?
Yeah, he told us both this. Yeah,
and he said no, that they've got totally different licensing issues, and people. Now, I understand why it's confusing. I'll say it very briefly. 6 through 8 are owned by Disney technically because they're Miramax. Now, Paramount has now bought those movies, but the Rob Zombie films are under the Weinstein Company, which is not Miramax. It's separate. Yes. Even though it's under the Dimension label, it's a very confusing ball of wax. It was a joint venture with Dimension and Weinstein Company. So because of that, those movies are in legal limbo somewhat still. I think Lionsgate owns them, but they're not doing any 4Ks for them. So it's a different ball of wax. But in that comment, in the video, I was like, guys, look, it's breaking. We're seeing I don't want the discs talk about this. We're seeing XYZ talk about this, but we're not getting Rob Zombies because I have it on good authority that those have way different legal issues, blah, blah, blah. And of course, this one guy was like, nah, you're wrong. They're the same company. So I don't know who you're talking to, but they're completely full of crap. And I just wanted to be like, you know what, you son of a bitch. And I remember after this was announced publicly, I think on one of the podcasts, I was like, hey, you guy who commented and said I was wrong, where are you? Comment again. Like, I never saw that guy again. And he was meaner than that, but it's just like, that's why I'm like, you know what? I'm not bothering going to say, guys, look, I have it on good authority because nobody's going to take me seriously. So I just don't even bother. I keep my mouth shut.
Yeah. And Cody, thank you for the super chat, man. Yeah, I heard that. That's awesome. That's awesome. I can't wait.
She was at the movie theater watching the new ones. That's what she
was
saying.
Yeah.
That's her coming back to Halloween franchise.
Dallas says, was it at least a good reason? It was multiple reasons. And yes, they're good reasons. I'll just leave it at that. But yeah, dude, it just pisses me off, man. I've never seen this guy before. So he obviously, the algorithm, led him to my channel because he was searching something Halloween, Danielle Harris related. So he's probably a Danielle Harris fanboy. And was like, well, you don't know that. It's like, dude,
I am too, but I'm sorry. It's
not gonna. Yeah, it's not gonna fucking happen, guys. It's just not. Now, when Malik dies and Danielle's like 70, maybe we get H5, the true H5 that everyone wants. When Danielle's now the old Laurie Strode, like who the fuck knows? But as long as Malik's alive, it's not going to happen. And but it just pissed me off because the guy, I wasn't even a dick when I replied. He was a dick in his initial comment. And I was just like, hey man, I'm just telling you, like, I'm not being subjective here. Like I do know that it's not going to happen. He was like, you don't know that. I don't care about your narcissism complex. And I was like, buddy, you don't know me. I have a very low opinion of myself. Definitely not a narcissist. Yeah, I know. No, I roasted the fuck out of him in my reply and he didn't reply. So yeah. And hey, Dallas, that's why I was careful about not giving any information. That way Danielle and Scout can't play this clip. because I didn't give a single reason. I'm not doing that. I'm smarter than that on the fucking internet. I'm not doing it. I'm just not doing it. I'm not doing it. So again, thank you, Cody, for that super chat. I very much appreciate it.
Hold on, Cody.
But yeah, dude, it's like Christian can back me up. We've been told, and there are reasons it ain't happening. Take that for what you will. But yeah, guys, this shit was fun. You had about 80 plus, 70, 80 plus this entire time. I'm going to be salty as hell if the likes don't reflect that. I'm going to be real sad. We'll be back together again in the studio. We're going to get in the booth later this week for a regular episode. Don't know what day, but Christian knows that I'm pretty much good every night this week. So we'll iron that out. We have no fucking clue what it's going to be yet. That 31, Zach, that idea, we are going to do that. We'll have that episode drop October 1st, just so you guys can queue it up and you can know what movies you should watch every day in October. But yeah, this was fun. I like to see the turnout in here. I really did. You guys showed up. Hopefully some of you guys subscribed to me that hadn't already. Some of you guys that think I'm exhausting, you probably did not. But that's okay. This was a good idea, Christian. This was a good idea. I think that people are going to like this. We're going to try to do this twice a month. So like Christian said, when he was explaining all this to you guys a couple weeks ago, as he put it, you motherfuckers are going to get 2 debriefs and an After Dark. So 3 extra Uneeda shows just because y'all keep asking for it. So
leave an interesting comment on the episodes and I'll bring it up on these.
Yes. Yeah. This is now, if we do this debrief once every 2 weeks, that'll give 2 episodes in between for each one. So we will have 2 episodes worth of comments. So if you give an interesting comment, you might get roasted. So
we'll end it off with this. This comes from Tales from the Shelf. The way I feel about cinematography is kind of the same way I feel about cars. I don't know shit about them, but I know a cool one when I see it.
Truer words have never been spoken. Batman, thank you. Tony Moran is our next guest.
I am fucking Michael Myers, you fucking bitch.
We're gonna
James
ask him.
Courtney's my bitch.
We're gonna ask him, what are your thoughts on Tyler Mane?
He's my bitch. I laid the groundwork. I was Michael Myers, bitch.
Yeah. Oh,
what the
man.
fuck is his problem? Who has 3 names? James Hugh Courtney. You got to be a fucking arrogant prick. By the way, I love Tommy Lee Wallace.
Yeah.
Fucking idiot.
JG, reach out. Christian would love to have Linnea Quigley on here. I know he would.
Sure, yeah. I'd take Tony Moran first, but
yeah, dude. Well, I would roast the fuck out of Tony. You wouldn't want to bring Tony on here.
Tony fucking Moran.
And if I roasted him, he'd go to Danielle Harris and she'd make a video on Instagram about how we were mean to him, like she did at that convention, which I don't know. When she did that, I was like, I don't know about you anymore, Danielle.
I'll just pull a Jamie Lee Curtis when she takes my videos and people are like, Christian, do you have any response? I don't know who you are. That's my response.
Yeah, did you guys see what she did? Who?
I don't know who you are.
Was she in some B movie in the 80s or something? I don't.
Scout, call me.
Scout, reach out. Scout. She's not married yet, Christian. We still got time. Quentin, don't worry, my friend. The next After Dark, if you become a patron of Christian or myself, fuck it. Even if you're not, we're bringing you on After Dark. Christian and I already talked about it.
You should become both of our patrons though for $1.
Yeah, you definitely should. It's only $1. I don't know, it's only $1 to all you guys listening. It's only $1, and you get at the very least early access to uploads for either one of us.
Yeah,
early access to the Uneeda episode every week, and you get a bonus Uneeda every month. That alone's worth a fucking $1.
That's right.
It's worth $1. Just saying. But I'm done hawking our shit. We love you guys. We'll see you later this week on Christian's channel. Nick and Christian from the Uneeda Horror Podcast, and we're